So, describe for the people that don't know.
Yes.
Shame on them for not knowing.
Okay.
But describe for them what Rise of the Super Athlete
Yeah.
is all about.
Right. So, Rise of the Super Athlete was based on one concept. In the world, when it comes to athletes who are trying to perform their best at the peak of their ability and going after it in life, it's not the level playing field. People believe that as long as you train hard and you keep doing the work every day, that you're just going to be successful. And that's not what it is. It's not true. Simply put, there's a very few that actually make it, and less than that actually go.
Whoa. I train hard, work hard. It's
Yes.
still not going to be enough.
Right. Look at anybody who's any top of their game. There's something different from them than anyone else. When you take a look at Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, for example, Tiger Woods, there's something different about them. It's not the talent. It's not when they were born or their horoscope. It was what they did, but their mindset on top of it. And Rise the Super Athlete believes it's unfair to have just someone just based on talent. You got to be able to sharpen the mindset. So we think we can level that playing field by showing somebody and designing with them a way that they can show up every single day and own it. Because every day you have to earn the right. You don't get to do it one time. Every day you have to show up, go, this is the reason why I should be.
Every day I got to be a little bit better than yesterday.
Yes.
That's what Chris Villani taught me.
Right. Right. Not only that, but have fun with it. It's just not, you may
That's
have
right.
to go.
It doesn't have to be some, extra 20 pounds of weight,
Right.
Or an extra mile. It's
yes.
just something different.
Right. How you can attack something, let's say you're doing the same thing over and over again every day. How you attack it is one way, but how you attack it mentally, where you're going, okay, I've earned the right to show up here and do this. I've earned the right to actually make this workout happen, because if I keep doing this, what's the one thing I can learn, grow, or get from this? How can I inspire myself? And when you're inspired by yourself, you can help inspire others. So there's a dynamic effect in there that no one else can take away from you. It's internally owned. And everyone else, that's what makes you great. There's a reason Michael Jordan is great. It's because people can look at him. It's not on the field. It's what he did in private. All those hours, all those non-sleeping, all the ways of he was so hungry just to do a push-up or a free throw. That's how he got great. And that's what we have to do every day.
So, okay, Chris, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know you know those two stories I'm going to tell about you.
Yes, there we go.
And I know you've heard them 100 times.
Yeah.
But because we're a new time slot,
Yep.
I think there's a lot of people that haven't heard this.
Right.
So if you don't mind, let me
Let's
tell
do it.
these
Let's
two
do it.
stories,
Right.
okay? So the first one was many years ago, my original co-host, Wayne Bottleman,
Yep.
introduced you and I together.
Yes.
And you were on the show, and you were talking about how you were helping people to lose weight and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Right.
And I was telling you how much I enjoyed Twinkies
Yeah.
and that sort of
Right.
stuff. And when we left the show,
Right.
you said, I think I can help you. And I said, great, that sounds great. That's something I'll give some thought to. And you said, nah, it's probably not going to work.
Right.
I said, what do you mean? And you said, well, let me know when you're serious.
Yeah.
And that's the last time we talked
Yep.
until I called you,
Yes.
right? And then I called you and I said, okay, come to my house. I'm serious about this. I really want to figure out a way to make this work, right? To the house.
Yes.
And you said, I'm not committing to do something with you. I am committing to talking with you.
Yes.
You came to the house.
Yep.
We walked around the house.
Yeah.
You got a feel for, you thought I was serious.
That's right.
And so you said, yes, Joe, I'll help you.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
What you made you think I might be serious or
Right.
not, right?
Right.
And so we started our journey, right,
Yeah.
of communicating when my personal goal was I wanted to lose weight.
Right.
The one thing I remember, you were at my house and you said, so explain to me, what do you think the biggest challenge is? And somewhere along the conversation, I said, hey, listen, man, no, you said, Joe, do me a favor, give me a good positive moment about yourself. And I said, oh, that's easy, man. Sitting in that recliner, watching a football game,
Right.
eating a pepperoni pizza. You said, okay. And you looked at me real serious like, and you said, do you have to eat the whole pizza? And I didn't think about it,
Right.
but I guess not.
Yes.
Those last couple of slices, I probably
Yeah,
didn't.
right.
I probably didn't need them, right? But that's how our conversation went.
Right.
We worked together for about a year and a half or
Yep.
so. You never mentioned losing
Yes.
weight
Right.
one time.
Right.
And then it took me about a year and a half, maybe 24 months.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I started riding a bike,
Right.
listening to tapes,
Yes.
books. I like to read books, but I really like to
Mhm.
listen to the books. And the bike gave me a place to do that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I end up losing about 80 something
Yeah.
pounds.
Good. Congratulations.
I can remember in the middle of that, um, you said, okay, Joe, let's try something. I want you to get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and say something positive about yourself. And I said, man, that's just stupid.
Right.
And you said, just do it. Just do
Right.
me a favor,
Yeah,
Joe.
do it.
Just
Play along
do
with me.
It's working.
Let's play
let's
along.
keep it off.
That's right.
So I felt pretty stupid, but I looked in the mirror, I looked in the mirror and I said, you the best looking man in Cornelius.
That's right.
Now, as I said that, I'm kind of feeling kind of stupid, but I said it, right? My wife was behind me dying laughing, right? Just absolutely dying laughing. It was like this embarrassing moment for
Right.
me. But it was at that moment I got it.
Yes.
I mean, I got what you were saying. Joe, if you don't feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
nobody will.
Right.
And as you're starting to lose weight, it's not about your weight.
Yes.
There is this mental
Right.
component
Yes.
to this story I just said.
Right.
Joe needs to be ready.
Yes.
Joe needs to have a better place to be happy
Yeah.
other than sitting on the couch, right?
Yes.
And Joe needs to feel good about himself.
Right.
All of those things were mental.
Yes.
None of those were physical or
No.
willpower
Right.
or what to eat and that
Yes.
sort of stuff.
Right.
So let's break those things
Okay.
down, buddy.
So there's a couple different key components that we're talking about here. Let's talk about the first one. One is willpower. Most people think, well, I've got to, I need to go on a diet. But no one who's ever gone on a diet was ever successful with it, because a diet in itself implies, typically for most people, it's frustrating, it's hard, it's gonna be difficult. How
Well,
am I
it's
gonna
doing
learn
without.
how? Yeah, well, yeah, right. And we don't want to do that. So you have to take that out. And willpower helps you out for a little bit. But if you don't see yourself as someone who's just trying to do with willpower or the lack of willpower, you'll lose. So what we do is we learn how we have to create a different identity, but we do that by creating a bigger purpose. The purpose and the why will always outdo everything else. Then when in other words, your purpose is it wasn't to lose weight. Well, the bigger purpose I would have to say is maybe I want to be here with my family.
Well, you titled it, Joe 2.0,
2.0,
right?
right.
Joe, let's make a new Joe.
Yes.
Forget weight.
Right.
Let's make a new Joe, and maybe he'll be lighter. right?
Exactly. Well, here's what it is. You have to look at it as exactly like this way. Who do I want to be? And let's say we could take this out 5 years. Who do I want to be in 5 years? What do I want to accomplish, and who do I have to be to do that? If I'm working with an athlete or anyone in business, it's always going to be those first. If people are going to be going, well, if I just change this about myself, or if I change that. If you don't know the direction or why you're going to do it, it won't last.
So we need some sort of personal goal or personal
Exactly.
interest, which is why you said for me this Joe 2.0, because you're saying,
Right.
hey, look, Joe, I want you to see a vision of a
Right.
different Joe.
100%.
I don't care what that vision
Right.
is, but that will help you make choices and
Right.
decisions, not how many calories or how
Right.
many slices of pizza.
Exactly, because now we're going to come down to component number 2.
Exactly.
Here we go. Now, we're always going to remain consistent to our identity of how we see ourselves. And most people don't even have a clear idea of what that means. In other words, a Michael Jordan wouldn't allow himself to go that far into eating and doing destructive habits. He may have one-offs, but he knows where he needs to get back to. Anyone who's excellent in their field.
Well, but there was a trust factor, because we had got to a point when you said Joe 2.0.
Yes.
I bought in.
You had to.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another
I was
thing,
like,
too.
I'm ready.
Right.
I don't know what 2.0 is,
right.
but I'm ready.
And this is the creative art of it. So when you talk about when we first met, you were like, well, I think I kind of maybe want to lose this weight. And I said, you're not ready yet, because we need someone with stakes. So if I'm working with an athlete or someone in business, and I'm hearing, well, wait a second, there's a reason I want to do this, is because in a couple of years out, I either want to make this money, build something bigger, get into this college, be a pro athlete. Then I'm going, okay, now there's stakes. There's something bigger than them that they want it for. When you have that, then it turns into something, okay, why do I want it, and who do I have to become every day to make sure I get this done? Because every day counts. No matter how bad that day is, no matter what you're going to run into, life is undefeated and it will smack you down. So you have to figure out, if I do this on a regular, consistent basis, every single day I find out how I'm winning, that's where the art is. That's where the fun is. And here's the thing about it.
Well, but what you did for me was and I don't know how you did it.
Right.
I do not know how you did it, but you replaced me sitting in that recliner.
Right.
and a pepperoni pizza watching a football game,
Right.
with me on the bike,
Right.
listening to books
Right.
about business and motivation and that sort of stuff. I literally, for over 2.5, almost 3 years,
Right.
that was my happy place.
Yeah.
It was not sitting in the chair
Right.
eating the pepperoni pizza.
Well, you got to think about it. The pizza wasn't helping you out to do what you had to do in the show, for example, or in your business. The bikes and the podcasts were.
Right.
So that's why it
So
becomes
the
more inviting.
2.0 is to find a happy place
There
that's
between it doesn't
something
right.
positive.
It doesn't mean you have to give up the pizza. But how do you do what you need to do and have the pizza at the same time if that's what you want to do? And about being great in your life isn't mean you have to give up everything. It's about really learning about what is important, really thinking about it, designing what that would be, and then going, okay, how do I create the path in doing that? And along the way, learning. You're never going to get it right the first time. In 6 months, it'll be different. In a year, it'll be different.
Chris, I keep hearing this over and over again. I've interviewed 2 or 3 people with successful books, successful lifestyles,
Yeah.
and they all start with the same thing. Set a goal.
Yes.
Tell yourself where you want to
Yes,
go.
100%.
Right?
Clarity is power.
Right.
Clarity is power, and your next smallest step is always the best thing. Always. If I'm working with anybody, I was just talking earlier, I just did my second Spartan race, and no matter the weather, the obstacle in front of me, no matter how many miles I still have to go and do this, I'm always thinking, what's my next smallest step to be victory? And the other thing, too, is I earn the right to be here. I earn the right to have this challenge, this obstacle in front of me. And when I look at it that way, I'm that much more better to attack it and find ways around it.
So somewhere along our relationship, I realized that because I always considered you this athlete guy, right? This
Right.
about physical, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, I realized what you're talking about. It helps business people
Yes.
just as well. You described Michael Jordan,
Yes.
right? But honestly, you could place Warren Buffett in the same
100%,
category,
yeah, yeah.
or a business person has that peak mental capability,
Yeah.
whether it's Michael Jordan or Warren Buffett.
Well, we're going to be talking about this in a future session about identity. But identity, when I work even within a business setting, it's going to be one about what the goal is, what they're trying to go after, and who do they have to become. So it's going to be what's the goal or the outcome, why is that important, and then who do you have to become to do that? And we reverse engineer that. And when they get to learn, and you get to have fun doing this every day, and yes, I know people don't think business is fun, and that's probably why you're not doing as good as you should be. Because if you were having fun,
It's
you
a
would
lot
see
of fun.
it is a lot of fun.
'Cause I
When you
get
think-
up in the morning,
Right.
with every intention of doing what I want to do,
There we go.
and I want to sell businesses.
Right. And here's the thing about it. The way you look at it helps you not only motivate yourself, but it motivate others. And that's what you're really looking for, is how do I make sure, even on my worst day, when I don't want to get up and do this or attack clients or build a business, that I do this? Because if I do this, I will dominate everything else, or at least I will do better than, not. And that's what we're trying to do, is how do you create that unstoppable part of you that says, you know what, I'm here for a bigger purpose. And this is what I can do.
But before we go to break,
Yes.
give me an example of because it's been a while since you and I've talked, right?
Right.
So give me an example of some clients and some successes that you've had for them.
Sure. So I'm going to take one that I really love, because we're going to talk about this in a future session. It has to become about identity. And the idea, this was a wrestler that I worked with who was about 12 years old at the time. And this kid had been to tournaments after tournaments, but he wasn't doing so good. He would go against anybody he didn't know and win. But when it was somebody he knew, he would lose. And I said, well, what
Isn't
if...
that interesting?
It was interesting because he had a belief in himself. I don't hurt people that I like. So what we did...
Let's take a break.
We gotta take a break?
I want
Okay.
to make sure you got plenty of time for
Yes.
this. You were just getting ready to tell me about
Yes.
a client
Yes.
that could bust up on some people
Yes.
until he knew them.
Right.
That's interesting.
Right. So this is going to...
And this is a wrestler.
This is a wrestler. So I met him around 12 years old. He'd been doing really great, really successful. He ended up, he's about 17 now, and he's now in college. But he's an incredible kid. He's All-American, big tournaments, a great wrestler, great personality, just a fun, nice kid. And when they came to me,
you don't want to give his name. You don't want. We don't.
Well,
we don't
okay,
want to shoot him
part
out.
of it.
We don't
Well,
wanna
he's
hurt him.
no
That's all
longer-
right, that's all
he-
right. I don't want to push him out there. That's okay.
no, he's
okay,
fine.
that's okay.
It's
That's
Tyler,
fine.
was his name, so he's fine with this. When he came to me, we kept talking like, hey, this kid was great. He's very talented, but more than talent, he's probably one of the hardest workers I ever found. And when you look at
And that's saying a lot from you.
yes, when I meet people who are the best of what they do, because I work with people who are in real estate, I work with people who are in investments, I work with people who do have their own businesses. So there's kind of a commonality. They're not best because they were born that way. It's best because they make it their study. They are going to, every day, they learn how they can be better and how they can actually just be hungry and just go after it. Tyler was not the exception here at all. And what happened is you would see him go against people who were, who he didn't like, who happened to be tough opponents, and no matter what, he would win. And then he would tend to go after people who he would like. And these are people who could be teammates that he liked,
Right.
or other fighters that he liked. And they could have less talent, but he would lose. And what was interesting about this, I asked him, he goes, well, I believe that, with my friends, I have a belief is you never hurt your friends. Now, that was Tyler, regular Tyler. But when I created Tyler the Terminator, they had one job. Go out and I, just like the Terminator, what do I do?
That's right.
I
That's
go
right.
out and I terminate. And when he did this, I said, this happens when you train or when you get onto the mat. This is what you do. You become the Terminator. We learn how to walk, how you talk, how you think, how you act. And we just started customizing.
As a Terminator.
That's right. So he'd only turn it on there. And then when he walks off, he becomes Tyler, this amazing, young, smart, fun.
He can hug his competitor.
Yeah, he would give you the shirt off his back. But when it came there, this is what I do. I terminate. And I go out there and I'm successful. I'm working with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy right now who's won medals. Same way. How do we create you to be the guy that goes out there and does what he needs to do and then go back to business and doing what you need to do there? Real estate, it's the same thing. Who do you have to become to get your goal? And that goes back to that very first thing. What is my goal? And now who do I have to become to get it? Because until we have those two, it doesn't matter what you do. All the discipline, all the training, everything you do will go for none. It's like getting into a car and driving with no direction.
Chris, how come I couldn't do this without you? Like
Yes.
And listen, you and I've talked about this many times. You
Right.
say, Joe, I didn't do nothing for you, but I give you a lot of the credit. In other words,
Right.
you pushed me into these areas.
Right.
I would not have gone there on my own.
Right.
Right. So, do we need somebody to push us there? And I'm a self-starter.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that needs help normally. Right.
It's not. Here's the thing about it. Everyone that I work with is they're all self-starters. They're all driven. They're all hungry, but everyone needs coaches. And I'm not the guy. I'm never the hero.
It's sort of like
They are.
we've got to our point, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? In other words, when you're trying to do better than yourself,
Yes.
you get to a point where I don't know anymore, right?
Right. You've got to have. It's part of me doing a couple different things. When I meet someone, my very first thing is to really understand who they are as a person, because they're not broken. And I think, wait a second, they have if they're hungry and they've come this far, then they've earned the right to go even further. Now, as a guide, how can we make this happen? So if you ever see Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite show, of course.
The hero in that is Luke Skywalker, not Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm like the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't do it for you. Luke Skywalker still has to show up and do what he does. My clients are Luke Skywalker, or if you look at it a different way, Princess Leia. They both have it.
Whoa. Did he just call me princess?
Well, this is for all the ladies out there.
Okay. All right.
But you know what? They're strong personalities.
I see what you're doing. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I thought for a minute. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So this is how we do it. When I work with a client, it's like, if you were this hungry, how would you want to attack it? It's probably the first time that most people get to go, well, I never really thought about it, and they haven't. Most people are successful. They just do. They kind of get in a routine of doing what they think they need to do, but they didn't realize who they had to become or why it would be important so they can do it. Because now it becomes well, if I become this, I don't have anything else, or I lose this, or I can't do this. And what we say at Rise of the Super Athlete is you can have what you want and more.
Yeah, I never felt like you took anything away from me. In other words, when you defined Joe as 2.0, right? You weren't taking away.
Yeah.
You were saying, let's add 2.
Right. And that's what it's about. It's like, okay, you have all this, but let's have some fun or a new way of looking at this. So at the end of it, it's never about the winning. People think it's about the winning, the award, the money. Yes, that's important. But like if I went to an athlete and I said, here's the award, you don't need to go to your tournament anymore, they would never take it. The reason is I haven't earned it. Like if I'm doing a Spartan race, no matter how I do it, as long as I get that finish line, no matter how ugly it may be, no matter obstacles in front of me, I've earned the right to have that medal, and that's more important.
The last thing a winner wants is a participation trophy.
We don't want it. I want it. That trophy becomes in my first Spartan that I won. I didn't win, but that I completed in April. That is probably going to be my most important medal for me. There'll be harder Spartans that I do, but it was the fact that I can do this. even when it was hot and it was hard and it sucked. And I think when I look at my clients, no matter what they're going through, whether it's in business, life, relationships, hardships, all we're doing is with me, we get to look at how do you utilize this to become stronger, to become the person, and to help influence others.
And you live this life yourself, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
every time I have you on the show, you're doing something different.
I
You're
have to.
jumping off planes,
Uh,
you know. So that you are practicing what you preach.
Right. Well, because life every time is turning around and showing me other things. I've either got relationships, family, financial, all these stuff that's coming against me. And if I don't show myself that I can be better or attack it, I'm going to lose. And I like the part of going, wait a second, no, there's more out there, and I want more people to come with me and enjoy the fun.